Hey music friends, how's everybody doing? It is James coming back at you with a hopefully somewhat short video this week. I tried to pick something that I really love and I'm very passionate about, but I could also keep it kind of short because I realized that my last few videos have been a little bit on the long side, doing some more challenging topics and maybe alienating a few of my viewers with the long videos, so I'm going to try to keep it short this week. Hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. It's been a really fun weekend for me. A lot of great things going on here. I had a wonderful birthday, and thanks to everyone who shared that with me. And you know, it's just been a really big couple days here in the U.S. So all in all, things are going extremely well. So today, as you can see from the description in the video, I'm here to talk about the British four-piece band, the Sundays, who unfortunately are no longer with us. They broke up some time ago. Well, you know, they never really officially broke up. They just stopped working. There is some talk and some hope about them perhaps getting back together and doing something again, maybe similar to what Mazzy started a couple of years ago, but to this date I don't have any new information on it. But they put out 3 wonderful albums in the 90s, and I just absolutely love each one of them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Sundays today. Again, they're a 4-piece band from various parts of England. I think Reading is where the singer is from, and it's Reading or Reading, I'm not sure. But 3 remarkable albums, and I guess I'll just get right into it because the singer for this band, Harriet Wheeler, is one of my all-time favorite singers. I know there's other fans of this band in the VC. Brett Helm comes to mind, who's a big fan. And others, every time I post one of their albums, I'm surprised by how many people actually know the Sundays and will leave comments about, wow, what an amazing album, what a fantastic album, what a grail, I wish I had it, you know, all those types of things. So it's always really refreshing and nice for me to hear those comments because I grew up with these guys. I love each of their albums and was pretty devastated when they decided not to do any more. So it all started in 1990. With this album here, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic, and this was their debut album. And this one is pretty easy to find on vinyl. It's not terribly scarce. And in my estimation, it's one of the greatest debut albums of all time. I just absolutely adore every song on here, and there's no point in me trying to give any type of a listing of my favorite tracks because they're all my favorite tracks. Every single time I put on this album, it's just almost hearing it again for the first time. And it is just a really, really enjoyable, pleasurable, easy listening. It's indie folk kind of music, if you want to call it indie music from that era. And that's how Wikipedia describes them. That's how they're described on Spotify and other resources that I've looked up. My best thing I can tell you is just take the time to get to know these 3 albums. 1990s Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic is absolutely spectacular. Of course, started with the CD that I've had forever. This is an original that I've had in my possession since it came out. You know, there's nothing terribly special about a CD, but I'm just happy that I've kept it all these years. Still plays beautifully, and no need for an upgrade because it's still perfect. And recently kind of got back into cassette collecting and pulled out my old cassette copy as well from storage. And again, it's nothing terribly special about it, but it's just a standard cassette tape. And you know, in my estimation, sometimes I think cassettes sound warmer and better, I've said it before, than CDs, but I'm still, you know, a die-hard vinyl collector. Okay, 2 years later they came back with their second album, which, as much as I was just glowing about their debut album, what a masterpiece, 10 out of 10 it is for me, their second album is their definitive album as far as I'm concerned, and it is the album that probably defines me as a music lover more than any other album in my collection because it has everything. It has soaring guitars, it has a bit of a shoegaze sound, it has heartfelt lyrics, it has a wonderful vocal, you know, it's just a soaring, beautiful, absolutely masterpiece of an album that is 1992's Blind. It is a bit of an unusual album cover, I will say. The doll's a little bit creepy, but I personally love it and I think it fits the music perfectly. Every song on here, again, this is a 10 out of 10 album for me, so there's really very little I can say other than please do yourself a favor and go get it. You know, listen to it on Spotify or YouTube or whatever you guys decide to do. But if you haven't heard this album, it is probably the single most... there's a couple albums I would say define me the most in my entire collection. And I'm narrowing it down to just a couple, but there's many. But, you know, there's two. Annie Lennox's Diva and this album, Blind, are probably more, I would call, my desert island albums than anything else in my entire collection. And I am a big collector of CDs and cassettes and vinyl. I have so much music, as you guys know, that for me to say that and stand behind it and mean it, you know it means something. This is a masterpiece, and I encourage you guys to check it out. 1992's Blind. And I'll show you quickly my CD copy. Unfortunately, it has a little crack in the case, I just noticed, but hey, you know, it's just plastic. But it is an original that I've had since it came out, just like before, and you know, it's just basic CD, so not much to talk about there. And I do have the cassette version to show you as well. I think the CD and cassette are probably pretty easy to find. Nothing too crazy about that. The vinyl copy of Blind, though, is pretty hard to find. Not impossible. You can find them, but most of them are going to be overseas, in Europe, in the UK in particular. And I would say you're going to pay probably anywhere from $50 and up for a vinyl copy of that in good condition. So it's not impossible, but again, it's not like you're going to find it in the dollar bin unless you're one of those really lucky people. Okay, finally they had one more album come out 5 years later in 1997, and while it's maybe not a 10 out of 10 album for me, it's still a strong 9, and that is 1997's Static and Silence. This was probably my very biggest vinyl grail, if you know how I feel about that word. I use it, but I don't like it. But if there ever was something that would, for me, define the word, this would be it, because for the longest time I didn't even know this existed on vinyl. And, you know, I think it was somebody in the VC, I can't remember who it was, it may have been Renee or Anthony in Australia that showed their copy of the vinyl record, and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even know it was on vinyl, because it wasn't in the US. And I don't even think it was in the UK. So this is really hard to come by, and it goes for a pretty big price tag. I was lucky enough to find a really nice vinyl copy of it. I can't remember where I got it from. I think it may have been Australia, as a matter of fact, and it took a long time for it to arrive for me. But wow, it was a big moment for me, and I remember posting it. I was just so nervous and excited I couldn't believe it when I played it, and it just sounded like I'd never heard it before. So anyway, again, it's about a 9 out of 10 album for me. It's absolutely nearly perfect, and you know, unfortunately it was their last. By the way, they're on Fontana Parlophone, if anyone's wondering. So let's see here real quick. I'll show you that I did forever have a CD copy of it. And again, it's pretty much just your standard basic CD. Very, very accessible and easy. You probably can find this in dollar bins just everywhere you go. Did have a cassette tape. This was not expensive. I think you could probably find them online pretty easily and pretty inexpensive if you're a cassette fan. And that's it. That's their whole catalog. I have a couple things just fun to show you. I've got a couple 12-inch singles. They didn't have many of these either. There may be one or two more that I'm not aware of, so please leave a comment if you know something else exists. Not so much in the 7 inches, but if you know any other 12 inches that exist, I'd love to know that. I've got a copy of Goodbye on 12-inch, and this has the also a cover song, which is on their album, Blind, Wild Horses, which, if you're a fan of the Rolling Stones, you know that's a Rolling Stones cover song. So I've got a 12-inch single of Goodbye, and I've got a 12-inch single of Can't Be Sure, and this has the B-side is I Kicked a Boy and Don't Tell Your Mother, and this is early stuff from the Sundays again, so nice to have those in good condition. And I have one CD single. There may be others. And I miss CD singles. I wish they would bring that format back. I think it's pretty well dead. But I love them because they had a lot of exclusive stuff on it. This is a copy of Cry from their final album, Static and Silence, and unfortunately it does have a crack, and I don't have many spares to go around on this one. But as you can see, hopefully, with all my glares, it has an exclusive demo track on it. And this is why I love CD singles so much, because you would get a lot of exclusive content. And it wasn't unusual in the CD single heyday for bands to release at least one or maybe two, and sometimes even three versions of the same CD single with a bunch of different B-sides. I've got a lot of it from bands like Elbow and Coldplay, and a lot of the more popular bands would do upwards of 3 different versions of CD singles at that time, and I loved them because you could accumulate CD singles and create a whole nother album from all the different tracks that you'd get on the singles. And I've done that with a few bands, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, that's all I have, and I think there may be a few more out there, CD singles, and maybe even another 12-inch or two. So please, again, if you're aware of any other material from the Sundays, I'd love to know about that. As you can see, I'm very passionate, and I love the band very much, and Harriet Wheeler is sorely missed as a vocalist and songwriter. And I hope I did this quick and did them justice, because they're a very important band to me. I would encourage all my viewers to check them out. And I had fun talking about them. So I'll keep it brief this week. I hope everyone's doing well and enjoying the weekend, spinning your favorite tunes. I'll be back next week with something different. And until then, wish you all well and talk to you real soon. Bye for now.